What's good? It's Woog. This fight is kind of a hidden gem this weekend, isn't it? Interesting matchup. We've got Richardson Hitchins, 16 wins and 0 losses, taking on Jose Zepeda, 36 wins, 3 losses, and 2 no contests. Jose Zepeda is a 2-time title challenger, once at lightweight against Terry Flanagan when Zepeda's shoulder popped out and the fight was stopped in the second round. I mean, talk about a disappointing result. But yeah, that was one of his 2 title challenges. And then again at 140 for the vacant WBC belt against Regis Prograis. That was late last year. I actually attended that fight in Carson, California. And that fight resulted in Regis Prograis scoring an 11th round knockout, 11th round stoppage over Jose Zepeda. To me, that's one of Regis Prograis' maybe 2 best performances. I'd say maybe that and maybe his stoppage over Carol Relic. But Jose Zepeda is extremely experienced. I mean, the guys fought like an even-ish fight against Jose Ramirez, who was, just battling for undisputed a couple of years ago. That fight between Zepeda and Ramirez, by the time they hit the scorecards, it was anybody's guess who won that one. And Jose Ramirez was awarded the majority decision win there. That was early 2019. Later that same year, 2 fights down the road, Jose Zepeda beat Jose Pedraza. Now, granted, I've never thought that Jose Pedraza was that good at 140. He was very good at 130, pretty good at 135. 140, I feel, is a little bit outside of his element. But nonetheless, that's still a quality win, and Jose Zepeda did that. And then in the following year, 2020, he fought the fight of the year that resulted in like 8 knockdowns. Him and Ivan Baranchyk, they knocked each other down 4 times each in like 5 rounds. And then in the 5th round, Jose Zepeda scored one of the knockouts of the year against Ivan Baranchyk. So this is a very tough dude, experienced guy. His only 3 losses, again, are to Terry Flanagan, where he injured his shoulder in the second round, Jose Ramirez, razor close decision, and then he got stopped by Regis Prograis late last year. So when I look at the odds between Richardson Hitchins, who is a, Floyd Mayweather or former Floyd Mayweather protege, and has been fighting with Matchroom on the zone for his last couple of fights. He's looking like a very good fighter, young prospect, tall, 5'10". He's got a 74-inch reach. That's the same reach as Terrence Crawford. And again, this is at 140. But Richardson Hitchins is looking like a very promising prospect. He's like 25 years old. But I'm looking at the odds and I see that he's going off at like a 3-1 favorite, or even like a 3.5-1 favorite over Jose Zepeda. It's like, which one of these guys has been a title challenger twice? Which one of these guys has beaten Jose Pedraza? Which one of these guys has fought tooth and nail with Jose Ramirez? It's really interesting when I look at this and I'm thinking, the idea must be that, Jose Zepeda is probably, seen to be post-prime. He's now 34 years old. And even before that fight against Regis Prograis, 2 fights before that, because the fight right before Prograis was a very impressive first round knockout over Josue Vargas, a much lesser known fighter. So it's not like Josue Vargas is like a world beater or anything, but it just kind of shows that if you are not on the level, elite or near elite, you might just get smoked by Jose Zepeda. I mean, out of his 36 wins, 27 have come via knockout, but 2 fights before that loss to Regis Prograis, which was the first fight since Zepeda knocked out Ivan Baranchyk, he fought Hank Lundy, who was also seen to be, post-prime. He was around like 37 when he fought Jose Zepeda, and this ended up being a very, just a very mundane, uneventful, uninspiring fight. I mean, Jose Zepeda did win via unanimous decision, but nobody came out of that saying, oh, I want to see Jose Zepeda against this guy and this guy. That, like, even though it was a unanimous decision win, it was seen to be a bit of a step back or a bit of a regression for Jose Zepeda. But he says that he just couldn't get up for a fight against Hank Lundy. Like, he wasn't motivated in the way that he was against Jose Ramirez and some of the other guys that I mentioned. And so you wonder about the guy's preparation or just the consistency to always be operating at the high level. But again, it's not like Jose Zepeda has a lot of losses. And when Richardson Hitchins was fighting on PBC, he was fighting like very little lesser named fighters. He was fighting like 8-rounders, 10-rounders against Malik Hawkins, who's, a decent fighter, or against Argenis Mendez, where Hitchins won a split decision. And then, once he got on Matchroom, Matchroom didn't have like the lion's share of the talent at 140. I mean, their outlook is looking a bit better now that, you know, Regis Prograis signed with Matchroom, and if they could get that Prograis versus Devin Haney fight official, which it sounds like they're on the brink of doing, I mean, yeah, things are shaping up at 140 for Matchroom. But, you know, when he was fighting those couple of fights on Matchroom, it wasn't against great fighters. It was against John Bausa and Yomar Alamo. So Richardson Hitchins is taking these like very incremental steps up, but it's nothing like the caliber of Jose Zepeda. So, I mean, there are step up fights and then there are step up fights. And, you know, unless Jose Zepeda is truly past prime and it's kind of hit that proverbial cliff abilities wise and performance wise, this could be a rude awakening for Richardson Hitchins. Again, he's going to have a significant reach advantage, but if you watch Jose Zepeda's style, he's a very calculated counterpuncher and he's got a laser of a left hand. The guy's a southpaw, and when he's operating at his best, he's able to make that snap read and be able to throw that counter left hand right on the money. I mean, look at the way that he knocked Josue Vargas out, or at least when he dropped him badly, which basically was the end of the fight. But look at how he just lines people up, and he could do it at a moment's notice. It's not like he's got a big windup. It's not like he needs to set it up with a couple of jabs and then shoot the left hand. No, he's able to just throw the left as soon as you start advancing, especially if you start leaning over the pocket. Like he caught Jose Ramirez a few times pretty badly when Jose Ramirez, you know, very front foot heavy, would start leaning too much when he throws a jab and kind of sticks his chin out there and leaves the jab hand out there. Zepeda was able to go to work with some of those nice counters. And so Richardson Hitchins, I mean, Jose Ramirez is able to take that punch and keep on ticking. So we know Ramirez has a chin. It's to be determined with Richardson Hitchins. Maybe he's got a magnificent chin and he could take a straight left hand from Jose Zepeda, no problem. It's possible. It's just untested. So I'm like, regardless of what my prediction ends up being in this video, I'm kind of tempted to put a little something on Jose Zepeda just straight up to win the fight. Again, you're getting him at better than 3-1 odds as the underdog here. But I'm going to go with the idea that Richardson Hitchins, I mean, he's a very measured fighter. He doesn't come in guns blazing. Out of his 16 wins, only 7 have come via knockout. So he's a patient fighter. He's almost too patient to where his fights have looked a little bit, you know, just kind of boring. I mean, I don't like using the word boring, but it's one of those where when you see the first 3 rounds, it's clear that nobody's going for the knockout here, that nobody's really stepping on the gas. He more or less seems content with keeping the fight at range and going to work behind his, you know, left hand jab, throwing the occasional straight right hand, using his timing, his reach, his movement, pretty good lateral movement. He's able to control range pretty well. So he's able to use these tools to pretty much win rounds. He's a very good round winner. I just think that Jose Zepeda is going to force him to fight, like really, really fight. And again, maybe he passes all those tests with flying colors. We'll see. But I do notice that he is not super comfortable, or at least doesn't appear comfortable in my view, fighting on the inside. And no, Jose Zepeda isn't like a rugged phone booth style fighter. He's not like the 140-pound version of Orlando Salido. He's not that. He's a sweet scientist who's looking for those opportunities to let his nice, sharp, accurate counter punches go. But I do think that he's going to have to fight Jose Zepeda. Like, look, Richardson Hitchins doesn't thump like Regis Prograis. So when Jose Zepeda is jumping in on Prograis, he had a little bit of early round success, but Prograis, you know, he does that fidgety movement. He himself, Prograis, is a southpaw, and he just started blasting Jose Zepeda with some left hands and some, you know, nice little right jabs and right hooks, but especially with that signature left hand. Prograis was eaten with that punch. Richardson Hitchins doesn't sit on his punches in the same way. So I don't see him just hurting Zepeda to that degree and stopping him like that. I just don't. I'm thinking, I mean, if he's going the distance with John Bausa, going the distance with Malik Hawkins, with Argenis Mendez, if these fighters are taking him the distance, I don't see him just, again, unless Jose Zepeda has hit that cliff and is just totally a shell of himself, I don't see Richardson Hitchins stopping Zepeda. But I do think that he's going to fight a measured fight. I think that the onus is on Zepeda to close the distance. That's a lot easier to do when you've got active legs, when you've got younger legs. And yes, Zepeda was able to do that well against somebody who was coming at him like Ivan Baranchyk, somebody who was coming at him like Jose Ramirez, less so against Regis Prograis. Prograis a little bit more episodic. He's not constantly just coming in. He's a little bit like, okay, we'll move, jab, and then wait for the opportunity. So, Prograis is a very fast, quick fighter and quick puncher. Like, he's one of those kind of tough to get a read on. And, Zepeda isn't a mover like Zarria, the guy who just made Prograis look uninspiring in that last Prograis fight. Zepeda doesn't move like that. Zepeda's looking to lock horns with you and let those bullets fly. He's in for some fireworks, and he's good at getting the better at a lot of those exchanges. Richardson Hitchins isn't going to be coming at Zepeda like that. I think Richardson Hitchins I think he's going to make this a bit of a jab fest where I could picture Zepeda moving his head around, trying to find the angles to come in. But I do think that he's going to start having some success with that left hand. Like, I don't think that Richardson Hitchins' jab is totally going to be enough to keep Zepeda at bay. He's going to have to put something behind that. And if he could start shooting a right hand lead, maybe that could nullify the left hand, but I don't know. Zepeda's a pretty fearless fighter when he's in there. Again, he traded 8 knockdowns with Ivan Baranchyk, 4-4. So he's not afraid of the smoke. I mean, shoot, we're really going to find out what Richardson Hitchins is made of in this fight, and again, I think the odds are the way that they are because, sometimes you get that shiny new prospect and people start to either overvalue them or just value them highly in general. And then when we see a guy who we thought highly of, I mean, look, before that fight against Prograis, Jose Zepeda was like ranked by Ring Magazine as like a top 3, top 4 140 pounder. Even right now, he's like ranked, I believe, still in the top 5 or maybe top 6. Richardson Hitchins, I mean, he hasn't had the opportunity to fight somebody to put him in that top 10. But again, he's just getting a sniff of the near elite or elite in this fight against Zepeda. Zepeda's pretty much been there, done that. And I think that it's because we've seen him lose a couple of times that the public is kind of cool on him now, thinking, okay, almost as if he's used to losing. So if he lost to Prograis, we should assume that he's going to lose to somebody who doesn't hit like Prograis, isn't, as dangerous, doesn't have the same upper body reflexes. I look at Richardson Hitchins as controlling range with his feet, not so much with his head movement or upper body. He's somebody who controls that distance by moving in, out, and to the side, but not so much, the punch comes and I slipped it. He doesn't do a ton of that. Prograis does more of that, and he could do that and then counter with the left hand. Man, I think I'm picking Richardson Hitchins, but via decision. But man, I'm doing so somewhat grudgingly. I'm this close to picking Jose Zepeda in this one. And again, even if I pick Hitchins here, I might put some money on Jose Zepeda just in case. But yeah, I think that Richardson Hitchins, I think he's well coached up. I think that he's got he's got a good foundation, right? And I think that he's defensively responsible, sometimes too defensively responsible. And I think that the more boring he can make this fight, the better it is for him. Look, I mean, if he just totally beats up on Jose Zepeda, I'd be very, very impressed and surprised. I mean, can he keep this like a low temperature fight without a lot of fireworks and still get a win over Jose Zepeda? Like, he'd have to be a really good sweet scientist to pull that off. Man, and this is a 12 rounder, which, I mean, you might theorize favors the younger fighter, but I mean, only one of these guys have competed in 12 rounders before, and it's not Richardson Hitchins, man. I've been a little bit back and forth on this one. I mean, a part of me thinks that Jose Zepeda might even stop Hitchins. Like, when this turns into a fight, sometimes, your best defensive instincts might leave you, but I don't know. Richardson Hitchins seems like by nature, he's a pretty calculated and measured fighter, but man, I just don't see him getting by without having to really mix it up with Jose Zepeda. Ooh, yeah, 12 rounder. If this was a 10, I could see Richardson Hitchins like pulling off winning a decision, maybe even a controversial, a disputed type decision. I'm still gonna go Richardson Hitchins. I was this close. I swear I was this close to going Jose Zepeda. I'm gonna go Richardson Hitchins via close, competitive, but impressive. I think that this is gonna be his best performance. He's gonna need his best performance today to beat a guy like Jose Zepeda, and I think he'll do it. I think he'll do it, and I think he'll do it something like 7 rounds to 5, 8 rounds to 4. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight. I don't think this is going to be a domination by any stretch, but man, just watch out. Like Zepeda might drop Richardson Hitchins early in this one, but I'm gonna go with Richardson Hitchins. I mean, maybe there's something else there. Maybe the recent Jose Zepeda versus like Hank Lundy is truer to his current self than some of his better highlights in, some of the fights just prior to that. Maybe he is a little bit past it, and maybe it is going to be, difficult for him to close the distance. But yeah, I'm struggling with this one, but I'm going Richardson Hitchins via close decision. I think that he's gonna box his way to in my mind, I still can't see how he does it without Zepeda having something to really say about that. You know what I mean? Throwing that left hand and getting inside. Like, is Zepeda just going to be sitting on the outside, kind of getting, picked apart a bit? It's tough to picture. It's just tough to picture. I haven't seen that happen to Zepeda before. And he's fought good boxers. He's fought, Jose Pedraza. And again, Jose Pedraza has way more experience than Richardson Hitchins. You know what? I'm gonna go Jose Zepeda. I'm gonna actually change this one up. I'm going Jose Zepeda. This might be a little something like, look, I think that he might drop Richardson Hitchins. Hey, look, if Richardson Hitchins ends up winning like 7 rounds to 5 or 9 rounds to 3 or something like that, I might look like a total idiot by switching at the last minute and going Jose Zepeda. But I'm going to go Jose Zepeda. I think that he's going to score a knockdown, not a knockout, but a knockdown, kind of like a rude awakening. And Richardson Hitchins will not do enough to close the gap on a scorecard. Man, I'm going to go Jose Zepeda via decision, not via knockout, but via decision over Richardson Hitchins. I came into this video picking Richardson Hitchins, but yeah, we're switching this one up. Let me know what you think about this one. Look, do you think Richardson Hitchins is going to do what's expected of him and beat Jose Zepeda? Again, these aren't close odds. Richardson Hitchins is a sizable favorite here. Do you agree with the reasons why? Do you think that Jose Zepeda is past prime? Do you think that he's so past prime that a prospect who, yes, again, passes the eyeball test and is looking pretty good in there, doesn't have a lot of power and doesn't have any experience against top tier fighters in actual fights, not talking sparring or anything like that. I'm talking fights. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on this one. And please by the way, I love this division 140. I hope we get a lot of the fights that we want. I hope that they make that Regis Prograis versus Devin Haney for Prograis WBC belt official. I saw that they made Subriel Matias. I think he's like the IBF champion. He's going to be fighting Ergashev. I mean, man, Subriel Matias can't catch a break. He's just fighting a bunch of tough but lesser named fighters, right? He's really doing some work. But yeah, Subriel Matias is in the division. Teofimo Lopez has a WBO belt and is like the ring champion after beating the man. That is Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's still sticking around. I'm still unclear on whether he's going to go to 147 or stay at 140. I don't like Josh Taylor's chances, by the way, against any of the elite guys at 147. So yeah, he might be sticking around 140. We'll see. Jose Ramirez is still in the mix. I'd like to stop. I want him to stop kind of big timing other fighters and just get in there with another. I mean, he had an impressive stoppage win over Richard Comey recently, but I wanted to see him fight a Regis Prograis, Jack Catterall, Arnold Barboza, one of these guys. But yeah, if the fights that we want to see can get made, this might be the best division in boxing. It's certainly among them. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.